freaking first cut. Golly.
What's going on, YouTube? This is your Wednesday betting preview for this week's John Deere Classic. It's our nationality picks, it's our outrights, and who is definitely not going to win this golf tournament. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll jump into it right now. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and we are going live to discuss all things JDC. We're going to bet on it. Here we go. Patrick McDonald is here. Patrick, good to see you again.
Good to see everyone. Last week I put the weight of the world on Sung Jae-im's back. Kind of caused him to withdraw there. So hopefully this week goes a bit better.
Yeah, so much so that he said, I can't even handle it. I am not playing this week. Sorry, Patrick. That was a direct quote. Sia Nejad is here. Sia, welcome.
How are you, everyone? I'm excited about this show. I'm excited about this tournament. I think with weaker fields, we sometimes get some picks that other people aren't noticing, including the sports books. So let's find out if we're right.
Oh, including the sports books. That was a professional tease. The coach is here. What's going on, coach?
This is a low-key, fun week. When you think of the history of this tournament, there's been some great wins, some great comeback wins. So like Sia said, though, there are some names the sports books just don't pay attention to. Let's bang those names today. Let's go.
Okay, and we will be taking your questions, your concerns, your comments in the chat. So feel free to fire away on those. Like there's a question in there, producer Troy, that says, ready to lose money on Denny this week. That's from David. And actually, let's just start with this field here, Patrick, because I think we've got kind of a clear one, maybe a clear 1A, Webb, Simpson, Adam, Hadwin, generally the favorites at any sports book that you're looking at. And then Denny Mccarthy falls into that next tier. And I think there's a lot of questions about who the best of the next tier is.
Yeah, I might honestly be the worst person to ask because I skipped the next tier too. I skipped the first tier with Webb and Adam, and I skipped the next one too. My numbers just really didn't spit anything out where I was, it caught my attention. So there's some good players there, I think, for matchups. Teasing, I'm on one with Hadwin, on one with Denny. But outright-wise, I went way down the board and peppering, triple-digit long shots this week for me personally.
Well, that's kind of the crux of the mental side of things here, Coach. It's like, wow, I personally like Adam Hadwin. I think he's been great this year. His metrics are phenomenal. 16-1. That's kind of like a tough bullet to bite. So I think a lot of people have found themselves living in the 30 to 60 to even what Patrick has done, which is build a card with a lot of guys further down the board.
And I would say that we would need to have a sprinkle word with a capital S. Be very, very careful. This is one of those weeks that we talk about a lot where you can get wrapped up in having an Adam Hadwin because he looks like. But this is where traditionally you'll see 100-1 cash. You'll see a 80-1 cash because you just don't know. But I also think the sports books are getting a little bit sharper, meaning like a guy like Nick Hardy, he's only plus 3,000. Would he have been plus 3,000 3 weeks ago? No, he would have been 80-1, 90-1. So I think they're paying attention to certain guys when I look at some of these numbers, but certainly be very careful. And when you talk about a guy like Adam Hadwin, like I went to his nationality and I can get plus money on him to beat 5 dudes from Canada rather than 16-1, which to me is like beating 155 guys. I would rather take plus 140.
Yeah, good way to look at it. See if you can find a different way to get exposure to the guys that you like. And Sia, the thing that we have talked about this week is the difference between the players in some of these tiers, right? And let's just use – I'll throw a couple guys under the bus here. Scott Stallings, 35-1. Is Scott Stallings twice as likely to win this golf tournament than Martin Laird? Because the odds say so, but I'm not necessarily sure that's the case.
Yeah, and I think you could name a few other names there, like Adam Svensson, for example. I mean, there's got David Lipsky. I don't think he's twice as likely to beat those guys. Scott Stallings can spike. We know that. But to your point, yeah, these guys probably should be paired closer together. But again, everybody kind of ends up in tiers, and people sort of fall, whether it's DFS or in the outright market. They just sort of fall because that's the natural progression of things. And so you can take advantage of some of these guys that are in the 60, 70, 80-1 range or higher.
before we jump into some of these guys, Brent Harris brings up a really interesting comment here, Coach. He says, I have pre-Berger WD tickets. So Daniel Berger withdrew from this event.
Okay.
Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember when. On Adam Hadwin and Webb Simpson. He says, I don't think I'll cash them out, which a couple of things here, Coach. We live in a world where it feels like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday WDs are a lot more common now. If your sports book is offering that cash out option, there is kind of a big incentive to Monday morning firing a couple of bets, maybe on guys at the top of the board. If the board significantly changes, you might have a little bit of closing line value. If it doesn't, you can cash it out and reallocate your money later, right?
Well, you can if you are paying attention enough. And I think that goes to the diving deeper, because we do this for a living. We get paid to do this, which is awesome, by the way. We love doing
that, actually.
I know, right? Let's not tell them. But most people are not doing that. They're not getting up on Monday morning and saying, hey, listen, let me get my win in for Thursday, and then I'll massage that pick just a little bit. But this should help those picks, because now those numbers are going to go down. So if you have a ticket, whoever it was, Brent, at 22-1 and Simpson, hang on to those, because now it's better than it was before when Berger was in.
Sorry, I thought somebody was jumping in there. Patrick, you said you skipped the top of the board. Let's talk outrights. You skipped the top of the board. You skipped the next section. You're starting your card in the 30s. Is that the vibe I'm feeling from you?
30s. Oh, Rick.
Trying to find.
You think way too highly of me to think I'm starting my cards in the 30s.
Not even the 30s.
Oh no, I'm starting in the 80s.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about some names in the 80s that might end up on your card for the John Deere Classic.
Yeah, I kind of fell in love with truth be told, I had a wager on Steve Stricker at 80-1. I thought that was a bit mispriced, to tell you the truth, but unfortunately he gave the field the rest, a chance this week to win. But I like Alex Smalley a lot this week at 80-1. He was kind of right there at the Canadian Open, was in that final pairing with Wyndham Clark going into the third round there. And his irons have been really good since May. So that was kind of enough for me, knowing, this place, it's really just a wedge fest when you get down to it, right? Wide fairways, big greens, got to put it close. And his irons have been pretty sharp. So 80-1, he's the only guy in the double-digit range that I got involved with. Past him, Hayden Buckley, 150. He's been a pretty streaky player throughout his career. And a really strong presence off the tee, and obviously had a great U.S. Open there. Played pretty well at the Travelers as well. Lee Hodges, 150-1 as well. Sam Ryder at that same number, 6 in approach last week. He's gained with his irons 3 out of 4 tournaments, and he's putted these greens really well. T2 in his debut in 2018, and he's gained over 3 strokes each time at TBC Deere Run, and that's kind of been his crux. So got involved there, and then if you didn't think those were stinky, Henrik Norlander, 250-1.
Wow.
Irons popped a little bit last week. He has missed, wait for it, 11 out of 13 cuts.
Yeah. That's the Michael Kim model you're going with, Patrick.
And then there's one more. Paul Barjan.
Love this guy.
He opened at 400-1. It's dropped a little bit. So those, for better or probably for worse, are my guys this week.
All right. I got a lot to unravel about.
Let me have it.
So first, let's start with okay. So you mentioned someone like Hayden Buckley, who had a really good finish at the U.S. Open. I think this is an interesting week to say, okay, Hayden Buckley, who played well at X tournament or Y tournament, where maybe 40% of this field could not have gotten into that event. So I have kind of been weighing some of these guys that feel like they're on the verge of a breakout, Patrick, or like, hey, they played well against stiffer competition, now going to an event where they're probably licking their chops for victory here.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think the same could be said of Alex Smalley, kind of being right there at the halfway point with the likes of Rory, JT at the Canadian Open. And he held his own kind of nicely over the weekend, fell off a little bit at the end. So I think these guys, even a Lee Hodges, he played Sunday with Scotty Scheffler at the Travelers. like you said, they should be licking their chops, and I think they're good enough to win in a field of this caliber.
Okay. Sia, for Patrick is he's biased in this situation. So if you were building a card like Patrick's, what starting in the 80s to 100s and then deeper it generally allows you to do is to bet more guys, right? That's kind of how this works, or at least how I do it, is I've got how much I'm going to spend each week, my desired amount to win. So if I bet John Rahm at 6-1, I'm kind of handcuffed. I can't bet John Rahm at 6 and Rory McIlroy at 10 and somebody else at 12. But starting in the 80s lets me bet anybody and everybody that I want.
It does. So I think you're right. But if you were going to allocate a certain dollar amount, I think, and you want to speculate at long odds, that makes sense. I would reserve a little bit, though, for live betting, for live outright betting, because this would be the tournament to do it. Everybody's going to go low after day one and after day two. You're going to see some guys, maybe some bigger ticket names relative to what's in this field, maybe 4 or 5 shots back, which puts them like in 30th place. They can make that up, especially the higher caliber guys. They can make that up. Their odds, like a Webb Simpson, for example, he's probably a bad example because his odds will stay kind of short. But let's say a Brendan Todd or an Adam Long, somebody like that, maybe even a Nick Hardy. If they're 4 or 5 shots back and in like 35th place after Thursday, they're going to be 80-1. It's going to be a long number. And so I do think in this tournament in particular, where it's not a very talented field, you're not going to have to pass Rory McIlroy. You're not going to have to pass Justin Thomas. You're just going to have to go low. And you can do that here in particular. So I would definitely reserve some money for live betting.
Reports on the grounds, Coach, very, very soft. And we know the winning score has been 19 under last year was like the hardest it's been in a while, right? This thing generally going fairly deep. And Sia brings up, again, kind of going back to what you said earlier, Coach, is like, if you're paying attention, you're going to be able to kind of find some of these opportunities, whether it is lines not moving fast enough before the tournament starts or books that are not moving fast enough after the tournament starts.
I think you guys can agree with me that the one thing that drives me nuts being at the PGA Tour or being a part of CBS and all the stuff that we get to do is that lazy take of, oh, this is a bad week, so you can't bet it. Oh, this is a bad week, so you can't do it. Don't you guys hate that? Don't you just hate the fact that, oh, no, we're just going to – these are the weeks that have opportunity, as I like to say. So when you look at all these numbers, an 80-1 on somebody on any other week is like a 25-1. The value is through the roof. So although Patrick is making fun of himself, some people in the chat are teasing him. It's actually the smartest way to go about betting a tournament like this. It's perfect. That's how you do it. You can't take Webb Simpson this week. If he wins, God bless him. But at 10-1, why would you ever do that? Why would you ever do that, to your point? So this is perfect, a perfect week to hit a long shot.
The money that Caesars will pay out this week is just as green as it was at the U.S. Open. I can promise you that. It spends just as well. I can promise you that. And we will find our winners. Okay, Producer Troy, I'm going to hit this ad break right now because what we're going to do is we're going to go into nationality picks. We're going to look through kind of the top 10 markets, matchup markets. We're going to go on record for someone who's definitely not going to win this tournament. That's always good for clips later. And we're going to answer your questions in the chat. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
The most iconic reality stars from around the world are coming together for the first ever All-Star Shore.
OG is here, bitches!
It's the ultimate party. Competition?
What? At stake is $150,000 cash prize.
Oh, I didn't know it's a prize money. Who will have what it takes to smush?
I should have known he was a player.
The competition.
It's gonna be carnage.
It's getting real.
Yeah, lovely. All-Star Shore. Streaming June 29th, exclusively on Paramount+.
And we're back. Now, before we jump into the nationality side of things, Sia, you have done the rest of us quite a service this week because the fans were making a move. Let's be real. They were making a move in the one and done.
I knew where this was going. That's why I laughed before he even started.
Upwards trajectory. I was getting a little bit worried. Luckily, you have mushed them this week. And I'm also going to be mushed into this with Webb Simpson, but I think it is well worth it. So Sia, thank you for your service.
It's really annoying, and you're welcome. It's really annoying that Patrick Cantley blew up like he did last week, because I was going to pass Kyle Porter really easily if he finished top 3, and I would have the whole joke about me would have ended, and Kyle would have sort of entered into last place. That blow up was so typical of how my season is going, and you're welcome, everybody, because the fans are going to have an MC this week, clearly.
Wow. I'll look up the odds for Webb Simpson to miss the cut in just 1 second. But before I do that, Coach, you alluded to a nationality wager earlier. It was top Canadian. It was saying, hey, Adam Hadwin is being asked to beat 150 other golfers for whatever, 16 to 1. If you just go to the nationality market, you can find that he is up against Adam Svensson, Nick Taylor, Taylor Pendrith, Roger Sloan, and Michael Gligic at plus 135. Pendrith, who's playing for the first time since breaking a rib. I imagine there's going to be some rust to knock off there, but this is a different way to access a golfer that you might be interested in.
And I think for people that are kind of new to golf betting, sometimes it can be very, very overwhelming. But if you have a sports book that has these different kinds of things, it just takes a little bit of time. But when you look at this, I call these hidden gems. And I know that's a baseball term, but what I mean by that is you're getting Adam Hadwin at plus money to essentially beat 5 guys. And I defy you to name me one of these guys that's done any. Svensson, I guess. But other than that, none of these guys have been in form at all. So this is a great way, and this was my nationality pick of the week. I also have another one. I found another steal as well that I'll talk about later, but this is perfect. So people, every week, look for something like this, because sometimes you can really find great value here.
Producer Troy, can you share my screen for a second? I've got the Caesars odds up here. So here we go. So Adam Hadwin plus 135, Svensson plus 350. Nick Taylor's missed 5 of his last 8 cuts. He's plus 430. Taylor Pendrith hasn't played since the Players' Championship, fractured rib. And then there's a significant drop-off in even odds to Roger Sloan, Michael Gligic, David Hearn. That's the top Canadian wagers. So it is clear the guy easily playing the best is Adam Hadwin. A little bit of resistance might come from Svensson, but you're getting the plus money on it there as well.
You're probably getting 50 cents too. He should be minus something. So you're getting a lot of value here.
All right, let's move on here. Patrick, I've got the top Asian player queued up here, and there are 7 of them. CT Pan, believe it or not, CT Pan is the favorite, plus 185. Anirban Lahiri, plus 225, and then a drop off to Sung Kang and Satoshi Kodaira. Sung Yul No is here, Arjun Atwal, Ryuji Amada. Any leans on our top Asian player for this week's John Deere Classic?
If I had to lean one way, I don't mind Lahiri, to tell you the truth. Really good off the tee. He's missed his last 3 cuts, which obviously is not encouraging. But before that, T6 at the Wells Fargo, T15 in Mexico. So between all these guys, I'm not going to act like I have done deep dives into, Arjun Atwal. I just simply have not. But Lahiri's a guy who's popped up on leaderboards, somewhat consistently this year, and getting him not as the favorite is something I could get behind.
Arjun Atwal has made 2 cuts since like the last 2 years.
I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna say 2018.
I almost said 2020. But yeah, it's not pretty stuff for Arjun Atwal. Okay, let's keep rolling here. Sia, would you prefer, let's see, top Australian, top Aussie? I could get you top European player.
Yeah. Go there. I have a pick there. Yeah, I have European. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a bunch of them.
Steal.
There's a bunch of them here. The favorite is Martin Laird. Yes. We'll start with Sia here. What do you see from the top European market?
Yeah, so I think Coach and I might be up against each other here. I'm not sure, but I will say this. It's really me falling in love with the number here. Matt Wallace at plus 650. I think he's a guy that both in DFS and the betting market, people are just going to fall asleep on, because to the extent he's done well lately, it's been on the World Tour and it hasn't been on the PGA Tour. His PGA Tour numbers just really aren't that good, although he has made, I believe, 2 cuts in a row, but not impressive finishes. I just really like the number here, whether it's at plus 700, which it might have been yesterday, but it's plus 650 now here on Caesars. Listen, Martin Laird is definitely the class of this field. I totally get it, but I do think Matt Wallace has some popability, and at plus 650, I'm willing to make the investment.
You must have moved the number on Matt Wallace from 700 to plus 650. So last 4 starts for Wallace: T5 at the Dutch Open, T18 at the Porsche European Open, and then 2 PGA Tour events in which he made the cut: the RBC Canadian Open T35 and the Travelers Championship T46. Coach, you have a quote steal in the European player nationality prop wager. What would you like to tell us that steal is?
I mean, all you have to do is watch last week. Martin Laird was right there for the victory until Sunday when he shot a 72 and fell back. This guy is playing great low-key golf right now. And you're going to give me a 4 next to his name, and all he's got to do is beat all the guys. I hear all the numbers. T46 is nice, but we're talking about top 10. This guy is playing phenomenal golf, and certainly in this field, he's one of – I mean, you could argue that he should be a favorite to win.
T13 at the Travelers Championship. He has now gained strokes from tee to green in 3 straight. He's gained strokes from tee to green in like 15 of 18. He is ball striking it. Just get that flat stick a little bit under control, and he certainly got that high-end upside. I want to circle back with Patrick here, because what I find always interesting with a card that he has compiled, which is starting in the 80s, going quickly to the triple digits, so on and so forth, is the ability to back up some of those wagers with top 10s, top 20s, and even top 40s at times, Patrick, right? Like, it's a big ask. No offense to our guy, Henrik Norlander, who is, 250 to 1 to win this golf tour. That's a significant ask. Have you opted to back up any of those longer shots, maybe in the top 20 market? Because, for example, you could get Henrik Norlander at plus 650 to finish inside the top 20.
Yeah, so I'm pretty kind of different with how I kind of allocate all my money. If you have access to each way markets, I would definitely consider that. But for me, I put my money in outrights, and then I try to make it back mainly in head-to-head matchups. That's kind of where I've gotten my biggest edge throughout the years. So I haven't gotten involved with them on, top 20, top 10 basis, but I could see why you would, because it's a massive ask for Paul Barjon to win the John Deere Classic. I understand that. But for me personally, I just haven't gotten involved there.
How dare you slander Paul Barjon in that way?
I was a little annoyed. Coach and Sia didn't even mention him for top European there, sleeping on him.
That's it.
And I will continue to.
Yes.
You'll sleep good, probably. Yeah.
You're not going to lose any sleep, Coach. If you've got an extra $8,000 laying around, Sia, Caesars still has the PGA Tour money list prop up, in which Scotty Scheffler is minus 8,000. Scotty Scheffler has made more money this season than anyone has ever made in any season. We still have a major championship and like 7 events to go. This prop is still up. He's minus 8,000, so 8,000 to win 100. Rory McIlroy, the next shortest odds, at 28 to 1. So I bet you someone will bet this, right? People love these like minus 8, like, oh, I'll just put $5,000 on it to make $63. I don't know.
I mean,
I would lose sleep over that.
Is there a path where he doesn't win it outside of somebody winning like 3 tournaments from here to the end of the FedEx Cup playoffs?
Yes, there is a path. It would be Rory McIlroy wins the Open Championship, 2 playoff events. Correct. And I'm not even sure that gets him there, honestly.
Yeah, some no then.
Well, the money list ends before the playoffs, correct?
I believe they take the money list it ends before the Tour Championship.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure is how they do it. They've changed this so much over the years, because the Tour Championship used to be official money, and now it's all just bonus money. So yeah, that's true. I should probably also read the house rules of what Caesars is doing too.
Well, I'll be calling the BMW Championship, so maybe I'll call my producer and ask him. So
there you
go. I got you covered.
There you go.
Yeah.
Minus 8,000 if anybody out there is interested. Sia, let me bounce back to you on this top 10, top 20, top 5, just kind of the positioning markets here, because there's going to be there's a lot of guys that I like, especially in that, 45 to 60 range. Not all of them can win, obviously. There will be one winner here this week. But, a Brendan Todd to finish inside the top 20 at plus 165, or even if you like him more than that, inside the top 10. Cam Davis, Adam Long. These are the kind of the name, John Huh. These are the names that I'm kind of circling in that range. Only one of those four is going to win for sure. Only one of them is going to win. The other guys I've kind of taken a lot of exposure to in other markets.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Cam Davis is a pretty good example. He might not finish strong. We saw him not finish strong last week. He was pretty bad on Saturday and Sunday, but he's a guy in this field that could absolutely finish top 20. And you might have him in your outright market too, but the odds that he actually wins and is the leader on Sunday, it's relatively small, obviously. So for me in the top 20 market, I just took a few guys that I think have good experience here, and I think will comfortably fit inside the top 20 outside of something that goes really different in this tournament versus, let's say, the last month or so. And that's Webb Simpson at plus 100, John Huh at plus 250, and Adam Svensson at plus 260. I think all of those guys have the potential to be in the top 10 on Sunday afternoon, but top 20, listen, nothing's a lock, obviously, because this field brings a lot of people into the tournament. But the way those three guys have been striking it, it seems to me, and putting it, actually, it seems to me that they'll be inside the top 20 Sunday afternoon.
I always find it interesting, Coach, how people build their cards, whether there's so many people who just do outrights. I know guys that just do matchups. I know guys it's just so different. Where does the finishing position market come into play on your overall exposure for the week?
Very, very little, because I just think I had too many years of playing top 20s and finishing T21. I got too many years of top 10 and have a great week and then bogeying 17 and 18 to have a T11. So for me, I will go to my grave saying that if you are going to be profitable in golf betting long term, you have got to play head-to-head matchups. Mm-hmm. You have to. It's not sexy. It's not going to win you a lot of money right away like a 100-to-1 shot would to win. But picking a winner is like finding a needle in a haystack. It is so hard to do. I don't care how good at this you are. So to me, it's got to be head-to-heads. And I'll throw a couple here and there, but I would probably say less than 10%. Maybe like 5. I rarely do top 20s or any of those.
Yeah, I like what and Patrick, you mentioned the each way market, which is not always readily available in United States, but you can make your own kind of each way market, which is something I've tend to do, which is you bet you bet somebody outright and then you back it up with a top 5 or a top 10, because as Coach mentioned, when they make bogey on 18 and finish solo second, and that outright ticket has gone up in flames, you at least have your top 5 to save you there, which is always not very comfortable feeling, but
it's the worst. It's the worst.
Speaking of matchups, I want to talk about some matchups. However, I was able to track down the Sia Mush. I believe it's actually been boosted. There's a Sia Mush boost on Caesars now. Webb Simpson to miss the cut plus 275. So we could play the mush and go make some cash on that side of things.
That's not even a good number. I thought that would be way higher, like plus 400 at least, plus 500. That's conservative. They must have listened to the show yesterday. And so now I'm sure some bets have come in on Webb to miss the cut. I guarantee you yesterday that was like plus 1,000 and now it's plus 275.
Yes. The first cut pod moved the number quite a bit. I also find it interesting that this is stupid. It probably doesn't matter, but Adam Hadwin and Webb Simpson are both plus 275 to miss the cut, yet they're outright top 5, top 10. Like those numbers are different, but the miss the cut, they've said, yeah, these guys are equal, which I don't necessarily agree with. I have no actionable information to take on that, but I don't agree with that. I'm not going to do anything.
I got your back on that.
All right. Head-to-head matchups here. So this is kind of the staple of a lot of, if you're doing this week in, week out, you could go weeks without finding an outright winner or anything close to it. The matchups are kind of that bread and butter. So let me run through a couple of these here, and I'll tee you guys up on a couple. And Patrick, let's just continue with that conversation. Oh, and here's another perfect example. Webb Simpson versus Adam Hadwin. It's not even money, though their odds are the same to miss the cut. It's
Really?
Webb Simpson minus 130 to Adam Hadwin's plus 100. Patrick, which side would you like?
Yeah, actually, it's on my card at the end of the show. I'm on Hadwin. I mean, for me, it should be a coin flip. So any scenario like that, give me the plus money. And I've honestly seen Hadwin as long as plus 120 out there in this matchup. So because of that, when it's a 50-50 shot, I'll take the plus side of it every time.
We've got one vote for Hadwin, Coach. Could I offer you Webb Simpson at minus 130, or would you like the Adam Hadwin side?
I am not a fan of Webb Simpson to bet on ever. My theory in head-to-heads, find 4 or 5 dudes you love and bang them every time that they play. But Webb Simpson, to me, he is a disaster waiting to happen. He could go out and win. Sure, he could. But I will never bet on Webb. So if I had to, I would take the Adam Hadwin side because I feel like Adam Hadwin, every time he tees it up, he's fired up to play. He shows me something. So I'll take a guy like that on a week that maybe emotions might be a little hard to get going.
That's 2 votes for Adam Hadwin. Sia, would you like to make it a clean sweep?
Well, it depends how you're asking it. If we're talking about the numbers themselves, I agree with Patrick's analysis that those numbers seem off and you get the plus 100 or plus 120. I would give the nod to Hadwin. But if we're just talking about who's going to come out on top, I just like Webb Simpson's pedigree. I like the momentum that he seems to be building. So if we're talking about who's going to finish higher, I like Webb Simpson. If I didn't, I would have taken Adam Hadwin in the one and done instead of Webb, obviously. So, but I do understand the plus money. That does make a lot of sense.
All right. Well, see, I'll just stay here with you on. So I see this as tier A, Hadwin Simpson. Tier B, Sahith Theegala, Denny McCarthy. That's the next matchup. So Denny is minus 120 to Sahith's minus 110 for a tournament matchup.
Wow. That's not something I plan on taking, but if I did, I would take the Theegala part of that. Denny's been good, and I think Denny's kind of coming on, but you could absolutely say the same about Sahith. So I think Sahith might be just the better golfer in general, and we're going to find that out pretty quick if we haven't found out already. So I do like Sahith there. 2
top 5 finishes in his last 3 starts, Coach, for Sahith. Is that the side you would like, or would you prefer Denny?
Yeah, no, because I think he's going to win. So obviously, I'm going to take his side of things. I also think Denny McCarthy is running on fumes right now. I think the U.S. Open and the week since has really taken, and we saw what happened with Rory last week. I think that was all energy, to be honest with you. And we talked about it on the show a week ago. I think Denny McCarthy finds himself in the same category. Theegala normally don't like to go after a guy who had a meltdown like that. He's got so much more firepower. And the one motivation this week, I want people to remember, there is still a spot left for the Open Championship. And that is high motivation for a guy like Theegala because he has openly talked about it. So I like him there.
There is one more spot available. That is right. Okay, Patrick, which side of this matchup would you prefer, please?
I'm going with my guy, Denny. And I know he might be running on fumes, but maybe that miscut last week actually did him some good. Maybe a blessing in disguise. And you come to a course that typically turns into a putting contest of sorts. Denny McCarthy, the best putter in the world. I'm going to side with him in this one. Winning
scores of this event. Just rattle off a couple of them. 19 under par, 21 under, 27 under, 18 under, 22, 20, 22. You're going to have to get into the 20s if you want to win the John Deere Classic, and you're probably going to have to make a lot of putts along the way. Coach, let me just circle back on a comment here. So 3 Jack Golf says he'll be at the BMW Championship, which I also will be as well. However, you do it remotely. You do it from the studio in Florida, right? You're not going to actually be there.
No, I will not be on site.
Right.
It's the greatest gig in the world. Most people realize it, but no, I will not be on site now.
Right. You'll have all access to, that part of the Dark Knight where Batman has all the screens and he can hear everything that every Gotham resident is saying. That's you. You're that guy for PGA Tour Live.
It's the best. They treat me great. They put me in that top spot. I do so many events and I love it, but it also gives me a very unique eye when it comes to golf betting, because if you really want to learn, watch PGA Tour Live. And I don't care about the numbers and all that. I care about, you can see every player hit every shot, and it really helps me with my handicapping. I don't know about you guys, but it does for me.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I see this, Sia, And I will admit, I don't know if it's always available, but I would like it to always be available, where they just supercut every shot a guy hits for a round into like a 7-minute clip or whatever, right? Because that's all it takes, 68 shots in 7 minutes. I want access to that for every player. So I want to watch film. Let me grind film. I know it's golf. Let me grind film.
That's got to be the next evolution of this, because the NFL has that. They have, for analysts, they have that kind of abridged version where you can watch all the plays and all of that. Yeah, I think the PGA Tour has to. I don't know if that's the PGA Tour's responsibility actually, but I think that would be the next evolution. It's a great idea.
The all 22 view, Coach. Could you imagine if there's just a blimp view? I want to be able to see the entire course at once.
Let me just tell you this, because you guys know me pretty well by now. I'm an idea guy, and I will throw stuff against the wall. The PGA Tour execs are tired of me at this point. All the ideas that you've just tossed out, I've done that times 10. Trust and believe that I am all over this, because the PGA Tour knows through me how important these things are to the growth of PGA Tour because of betting. It's so, so important. And they get it, and there's going to be changes coming. And I love being on the inside and being in the meetings and seeing what's coming. It's kind of cool from my perspective.
Yeah, Coach, you're like our little infiltrator. You go and you, hey, have you guys considered this? How about this? Let's do this. Just keep bugging them. Keep bugging them until we get it. Patrick, I know you're not a meteorologist, but let's play one for a second. I'm looking at the weather report. I can share my screen. Don't worry. I'll share my screen. Hold on 1 second, producer Troy. I'm going to get there. Okay, let's pop this up onto the screen. All right, here we go.
Oh,
yes, thank you. I've got the 10-day. So here,
yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, here's the 10-day, Patrick. So Thursday morning, beautiful. It's going to be sunny. The wind is going to be down. Afternoon gets a little windy. You can see the wind going from 9 miles an hour to 15, 16 miles an hour. And then Friday, the entire day, there's some thunderstorms. There's some weather, some opportunity for some soft conditions. So we'll take this from a couple of angles. What you're seeing here on the screen, I believe, is going to create soft conditions in which guys are going to have to go very, very low. But that Thursday morning wave, if you're playing on fantasy sites or maybe first round leaders, that seems to be, as of right now, the path to go out on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, if you're getting involved in the first round leader market, definitely try to target those early guys that are off, as early as 7 a.m. local time. So that's the way I'm going. I have a few guys there that, I can name now or later if you want.
Okay. Well, usually we do like a more professional, so let me just transition into my first round leaders, but hey, we'll just pull the curtain back. Let's jump into it. Patrick, you got some first round leaders for us? Professional
is not in my name, Rick.
It's showbiz. It's showbiz here.
But yeah, it's a few guys that I liked for the outright, in the case that they might get hot early. I don't want to miss out on that opportunity. So, Alex Smalley, 75-1, Sam Ryder,
6:45 a.m. Alex Smalley tee time.
Oh, nice and early. He'll be up at, 3 a.m. stretching, all that good stuff. Sam Ryder at 90. Hayden Buckley at 110. And then one guy I didn't bet in the outright, but I liked in the first round market was Joseph Bramlett at 130-1. This is a guy, he kind of pops and models a decent amount, but we say it for a bunch of guys, if he could just get the putter going. So at 130-1, I'll risk that.
All four of those that Patrick mentioned go off before at 8:46 a.m. or before. So they are certainly in that morning wave if you think that's going to be an edge. Sia, you are our kind of resident first round leader, dart thrower of sorts. And we took a look at the weather forecast. Does that make you feel any particular way?
Yeah, it does. And all the guys I'm going to give you are from the morning wave. So I do like, especially in the first round, typically the morning's going to be the play anyway, because typically that's when the conditions are better, softer, and usually the wind is down. So that's what we're going to see on Thursday AM. So that's what I'm targeting.
Give me some names, baby. Let's talk.
All right. So it's funny because I had to bring in Adam Svensson as a first round leader. So I had to cut somebody, and it happened to be Joseph Bramlett. So let me just no, but that's not a bad thing. Let me just co-sign Patrick's Joseph Bramlett at 130-1, because he's a name I gave out yesterday, but I don't want to give out too many names. I already have 6, which is a lot, but I'll start with Nick Hardy at 50-1, Cameron Davis at 55-1, Patton Kizzire at 75-1, Martin Laird at 75-1, Adam Svensson at 65-1. That's probably should have gone in the order before Patton and Martin Laird. And then finally, Matt Wallace at 100-1. So Nick Hardy, Cameron Davis, Adam Svensson, Kizzire, Laird, and Wallace.
Coach, you also being on PGA Tour Live, you also have to be up early because when that first tee shot goes off, someone's got to call it, and that someone is you. And have you noticed the early starters often getting those pure prime conditions where they can jump out of the gate a bit and they can post something? It might not last for 72, but they can kind of get out of the gate hot.
I cannot even tell you how many times I've said, well, the leader has been in the clubhouse for 2 or 3 hours at this point. Almost every single week, this is the case. I did not pick a first-round leader because I knew these guys would give us plenty. But they are absolutely right. If you pick somebody that's got an afternoon tee time, you're just asking whether it's the greens, whether it's the wind, whatever it is, most weather patterns, the afternoon is much more difficult. So, yes, make that a thing because almost every week we have to say that, or I say that.
Yeah, there are some really nerdy stats that show like everyone just putts worse in the afternoon because the foot traffic on these greens, they haven't been rolled in 8 hours. Like it's legitimately a thing. And if you're looking for little edges that add up over time, they add up over time. That's kind of how this works. Okay, gentlemen, a couple more things to do and we'll get out of here. So I've got your cards that I want to go through with each one of you, but we're going to hold off on that for just a second because we are each going to give producer Troy an opportunity to clip this and shove it in our faces on Sunday evening. Patrick, who is definitely under no circumstances going to win this tournament? We need the guy most likely to not win it, but you got to keep it like somewhere near the top of the board.
Okay. So no Daniel Berger, Steve Stricker, Davis
Correct.
Riley, right?
No
they're
Paul
out.
Marchand, no Michael Kim.
He's going to win. So obviously I wouldn't be saying that.
Yeah.
I'll go with Webb, tippy top. I'm not afraid of him in this instance, to tell you the truth. And yeah, I think I put him on my card, everyone under 40-1. So with that being the case, I'll take the guy at the top. I don't think Webb Simpson's going to win this week.
I think I am much more bullish on Webb than I think both Coach and Patrick are, which is I'm a little bit now I'm like trying to recalibrate. Like, should I be this excited about Webb? I don't know. I'll go with Adam Hadwin. He's got one win. Like he's not like a perennial closer, Sia, right? Like I love Adam Hadwin. I think he's great. He's got one win 5 years ago. I hope he wins to be great. I just don't think it's going to happen.
No, and that's why, when I was comparing Webb to Hadwin, whether it's one and done or if it was like both minus 110, I do think Webb has the pedigree over Hadwin. And so I think he's probably going to close a little bit better. I'll tell you, my guy is kind of a cop-out. It feels like a cop-out, but it's not a cop-out. I mean, Jason Day is up here. Jason Day is not winning this tournament.
Jason Day's okay. So Jason Day is 25-1 at Caesars.
How is that possible?
The fourth shortest odds.
What year is this?
Is there another Jason Day? I think there's another Jason Day.
He's in my best bet for the week in a matchup. Fading him.
Jason Day's last win. Oh, I had to scroll pretty far to find it. Patrick, do you know what it is? It's been a while.
His year was 17.
Yeah.
So
that like ran into 18.
Yeah. So did he grab one in 19?
No.
So it was 18.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, a BMW championship. That's
not a bad guess. Yeah, it was May of 2018, the Wells Fargo.
Ah, yeah.
I remember that.
That's his last win.
Wow.
Let me just confirm.
And I love him too because he was the first player to ever say my name when I was doing Sports Center. He's like for that reason alone, he's been one of my favorite players.
He is the nicest guy on the planet Earth.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We had him on the pod. He was brilliant. And Coach, I mean, I think we said this to him that he had an 18-month window that was literally Tiger-esque. Now Tiger did it for 15 years, but he had an 18-month window where he won like 7 times. He was dominant. He was everything. And that's what we're seeing from a lot of guys. It's like you've got an 18-month window to rack up as many as possible.
And if betting would have existed back when he was going through that run, you would have seen, minus 400s some weeks. That's how dominant he was. Which, can you imagine today a minus 400 or a minus 500 for a golf tournament? I can't even imagine that. I know we've got some 8s and 9s, but that would have been like 3 and 4. That's next level, elite.
He won 10 times from the Farmers in 2015 to that Wells Fargo championship in 2018.
Wow,
that's big time. All right, Coach. Who's not going to win this golf tournament?
Well, I'm going to go right to the guy that Patrick loves, just because I like talking trash and I like going.
Paul Barjon.
Well, I always pay attention to the rules, Patrick. Although I do like that pick. But Rick said it had to be somebody at the top. I'm going to go with Denny McCarthy. I think he's running on fumes. I think sometimes we need to factor that in more. I understand he missed the cut last week, but to me that was very telling. I think Denny's going to struggle this week, to be honest.
Okay, well, we've got the entire board covered at the top of who is not going to win this golf tournament, so that'll certainly go well. Real quick, before we get to our cards, and we'll just recap these cards here quickly. Patrick, CJ Cup's got a new home. They're going back to Congaree. Have you heard this breaking news this morning?
I have not, no, but I love the Palmetto Championship when it was there. I think Garrick Higo ruined what could have been like an 8-man playoff, really bunched there at the end, but it was a great course. So yeah, nice.
Garrick Higo did the thing that never happens, which is he posted a score and then 2 hours earlier and everyone melted down and he won. That was like his first event coming over. And then it was like the US Open right after that. So yeah, so CJ Cup, which has been here in Vegas for the last 2 years at Shadow Creek and Summit Club, is going back to Congaree, which is in South Carolina. It's a very unique course. Patrick, you mentioned it. It's like there's no rough. If you miss the fairway, you're just in like sandy, hard pan, waste area garbage. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it almost feels like a Pinehurst, maybe like a little Southern Hills to it. Just a lot of runoffs, a lot of sandy areas.
But it's going to be it's Coach. Good thing you don't travel to these, Coach, because it's back-to-back weeks with Zozo, which is still in Japan. So it's going to be Japan to South Carolina. That's a lot of frequent flyer miles.
That is a lot, and that factors into strength of field. But we're going to see a lot of things change. And I think between now and then, we could see some other things change. I'm not sure what. But I don't think you're going to see a lot of guys doing both. I can tell you that. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, let's recap these cards. Producer Troy, find me Sia's card, please. Oh, wow, that was quick. How did you do that so fast? Okay. Wow. We don't have to go through all of this. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see Sia's card. It's got outrights, it's got first-round leaders, it's got top 20s matchups, top European. We talked through a lot of this. A couple of things we hadn't talked about, Sia. Cam Davis is 45-1. I'm certain that he should be like 28-1. I believe that is it. Again, he probably wins it like 2% of the time or something like that. But this is a guy who has a lot of upside, and I don't think this number is particularly representative of that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because, last week it was 150-1, but this is obviously a completely different scenario. I agree with you. I think he should probably be in the 30 to 35-1 range. I definitely think you're getting value with Cameron Davis at plus 4,500. With that said, I do want to emphasize while you're looking at my card that while I do like these are more of like sprinkles than anything because I do want to save some of my capital for the live betting. I think this tournament in particular is going to be sort of plentiful for some good value post Thursday round, post Friday round. So I know I'll probably, just so everybody knows, maybe I'll post something on my Twitter with regard to some of the live bets I might have. But these are guys that I think are worthy to sprinkle on. To the extent I want to make a significant bet, it would be the Cameron Davis one at plus 4,500.
And we talked a lot about your first round leaders, your top 20s, and your top European, Matt Wallace. But we did not cover your matchup here, your best matchup. You scoured everything at Caesar Sportsbook, and you found yourself the Canadian Adam Svensson over Nate Lashley for your best matchup.
Yeah, I almost had two up here. Unfortunately, I just saw Coach's card, and he has the other matchup I was considering. So that's good. And speaking of Coach, for top European, you could bet Matt Wallace at plus 700 and Martin Laird at plus 400 if you think one of those two is going to bear out, because you're kind of cornering the market and you're getting a huge plus number either way. As far as the matchup, I do like Adam Svensson over Nate Lashley. Nate Lashley and Svensson, they've had success here. So they both check that box, but I just think Svensson's game right now is a little bit better than Lashley's. It's a little bit more predictable. And I love that Svensson has gained 8 out of the last 10 with the putter, because that's something that was a huge knock on him. Ball striking's there. Putter seems to be a good trend. So I'll take a minus 120 over Nate Lashley.
Sia, real quick. Sia, he's not a little bit better than Nate Lashley. He's a lot better than Nate Lashley. I mean, this is a great pick. Lashley's game is somewhere where he doesn't know where it is.
Feels like my own game at times. There are actually, okay, thank you, Sia. There are 7 odds boosts available at Caesars right now across the gamut. Patrick Rogers' first round leaders up to 60-1. Cam Davis has been boosted 45-1. Adam Long 33-1 to win. Christian Bezuidenhout top 5, that's plus 800. Lonto Griffin and Jason Day are top 10 boosts, 600 and 360 respectively. And then Luke, this is a bizarre one. Lucas Glover, John Huh, and Dylan Fratelli all to make the cut at plus 250. And I said, Patrick, what do these 3 guys have in common? Well, Lucas Glover, Dylan Fratelli, past champions. I couldn't find the common thread. I don't know. I don't know what these 3 have in common.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, but I'd be avoiding that boost simply because I think the defending champ's going to go out early. I'm not too high on Lucas Glover this week. You can get him at plus 175 to miss the cut. His iron play hasn't been terrific the past couple of months, and when Lucas Glover isn't striking the ball well, his short game isn't good enough to kind of keep him afloat. So because of that, nearly 2-1 on that, I'll happily dive in. And that's kind of the one pick that we haven't talked about for me.
There you go. I didn't know I was going to get a hot Lucas Glover.
Yeah, teed me up a little bit
when I threw that to you. Okay, producer Troy, let's find Coach's card. Oh, thank you much. Okay, Coach, we've talked about a couple of these. We knew that and earlier in the week, we knew you were high on Sahith Theegala. You have him here on your card at top 5 plus 550. You have Lucas Glover. Oh, this is a little bit, this is you not thinking Lucas Glover is going to have an early exit like Patrick. You've got him as top 10 plus 450.
Yeah, we've been seeing a trend this year of KH Lee is one example of guys that go back to a tournament and play really well on a particular course. But the one thing that is the most difficult thing to do in the world of professional golf, and that's to win back-to-back years. So this is also a week where guys just pop up out of nowhere. I respect what Patrick just said. He is right about Lucas Glover. But this is also a week when at the end we always say, oh, didn't see that one coming. Oh, didn't see that one coming. And so I think this is my, I didn't see that one coming pick of the week.
Yeah, we've had at least 3 successful title defenses this year, and that's guys actually closing it out. There's probably been others who have been very close. I'm just looking through. Rory at RBC Canadian, Sam Burns defended at Valspar, and KH Lee defended at Byron Nelson, I believe, for the 3 successful defenses. Coach, we heard your top Canadian, Adam Hadwin. We heard your top European, Martin Laird. We spoke just for a second about your outright pick here. It's 30-1. It's Nick Hardy. This is a kid who is feeling himself right now.
Yeah, for people who don't know, this kid is arrogant, confident in the best possible way. I love a guy who will step on your neck and leave it there until he finishes putting on 18. He reminds me a lot of Justin Thomas in the competitive fire and how bad he wants it. And I think right now he knows he's on the precipice of becoming a legit PGA Tour player. So I like him. I think the number's good. And then based off what he's done the last 2 weeks, I really like his chances this week.
Yeah, he is playing very, very well, very confident at the moment. Nick Hardy plus 3,000 going home to Illinois. He's an Illinois kid. Should be plenty comfortable there. Okay, producer Troy, let's find Sia's card, please.
Patrick's.
Sorry. Wow. Patrick's card. I was like, that's not Sia's card. Producer Troy is wrong. No, I am wrong. Patrick's card. Okay. This is
like the Mona Lisa.
It really is. Hang it in the Louvre. Okay. I love, first of all, let's just start. Picks not to win. You've expanded it. Anyone under 40-1. You are just so out on the top of this board.
Yeah, I mean, it just, they're favorites for the reason. I know they're kind of ugly games, like we discussed, Jason Day at 25-1, but I've convinced myself that it's going to be a longer shot this week. And because of that, got to put your money where your mouth is. I don't really think one of the favorites, I cut it off at 40-1 because Cameron Davis does scare me. He's the guy at the top. I know you guys have shown your love for him thus far. He's the guy at the top that I think could win this week. So I cut it off at 40.
6 outrights, as you mentioned, all 80-1 or longer. Smalley, Buckley, Hodges, Ryder, Norlander, Barjon. We talked about your first round leaders. We talked about your Lucas Glover to miss the cut, but here is a couple of matchups. Denny McCarthy over Sahith and Adam Hadwin over Webb Simpson. We talked about the latter one. Let's talk about Denny over Tagala one more time here. This is, do you think Sahith is going to have a little bit of a hangover effect after kind of what could have been at the Travelers Championship last week?
He was on PGA Tour radio saying it was still on his mind a little bit. But, I don't really like to factor that type of stuff in to my analysis too much, right? I mean, Sahith I agree with Coach, where I think long-term he's going to pan out being a much better player than Denny McCarthy. But this week, when you get a course with wide fairways, big greens, a wedge player like McCarthy, a putter like McCarthy, I think he has a higher floor than Tagala at the moment. And because of that, I went in his direction.
Okay. Thank you very much, Patrick. This time tomorrow, Alex Smalley might be 5 under par already. Who knows? Going out very early. Might play well. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. Thank you very much, gentlemen. So where we're standing for the rest of the week, round by round recaps after each and every round are completed. For now, I'm going to give a big thanks to producer Troy doing all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there, Sia Nejad, available on Twitter at Sia Nejad, Patrick McDonald at Amateur Status, and the coach is available at The Coach Rules. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.